Alright, here's a update on the Chinese lot of non-working Naomis I bought. 5 motherboards. Last thing I did was work on the filter boards, and I got a couple working, which was fantastic. I put a working filter board together with the spare Naomi motherboard I had and one of these cases, and sold it on eBay for about somewhere $5 to $10 less than I paid for the entire lot of 5 non-working Naomis. So really thrilled about that. So you'll see, actually there's 3 cases here. So the one that I sold would make 4, and the 5th one was the whole point of this, was I had a House of the Dead Naomi motherboard and filter board in their original large heavy metal case, and I transferred those into the best condition of the 5 plastic cases I got from this lot. So theoretically at that point you can say that makes it about $5 to $10 that I paid for an empty Naomi case for the House of the Dead, and then selling that other complete Naomi pretty much paid for the rest of the money, which is really good considering I still have, like I said, 3 more empty cases and 5 motherboards left to figure out what to do with and possibly get some more money out of them. Unfortunately, I couldn't get any of the boards fully working. That actually makes it sound like I did work on them, which is not quite true. The first board we have here, this is the first one I unwrapped in the video where I received them, and this is the fan that fell on the floor when I unwrapped that first one. There's a dark patch on the center of that chip. I think it ran without the fan and probably cooked itself. It does not boot. The second one over here has some corrosion around the supercapacitor here that I removed. Now I replaced the EEPROM socket. I replaced the 8-pin socket here, and there's still a little bit of corrosion, but it doesn't look that bad. But it does not boot. I can see where 2 RAM chips here have been replaced at some point. So yeah, another non-working. Not sure what the deal is with that. My favorite non-working one is this over here. If you look at the chip and you look at the fan that came off, you'll see this kind of mirror image yellow goo. That appears to be where somebody tried to use hot glue to put the fan back on that chip. That's not going to work very well. I don't think I can scrape it off the chip without damaging anything, and I think it probably got damaged trying to run it that way anyway. So yeah, that board does not work, does not boot either. Look back over here to this one in a case. This one boots. Really annoying. This one, it boots. RAM tests good, the audio tests good, but it's got some graphic issues. I read online that if you have graphic issues, I've got like some of the fonts are messed up, and there's some blinking horizontal areas of the screen. I read something online that it might be IC16, which is one of the chips that is in the RAM test, and even though it tests good, a post said that possibly that chip is bad. Unfortunately, IC16 is one of these surface-mounted RAM chips, and I don't have the tools to replace them. I could get one off using a rotary tool with a cutoff wheel or a sharp knife, something to cut the legs, take the plastic chip off, and then just use a soldering iron, get a little bit of solder on it, and use it to lift up each individual leg, and I can get the board nice and clean, but I can't pull another one off one of the other boards and solder it on because I can't remove one without ruining it. So yeah, this board actually boots, but it's got a graphics issue. So yeah, really close to getting one working. This one here in the case has some supercap corrosion in the area. Around here where the supercap was, I cleaned it up as best I could, but the thing still won't boot at all. So I don't know if something else is wrong with it. I toned out a bunch of the traces and it seemed okay, but it will not boot. I've also written on here filter board, bad inside USB, the USB plug here. The outside one is bad. They have 5 metal connectors. Excuse me, 4 as I'm counting them now. 4 metal connectors that connect up to the cable. And then there's a piece of plastic behind it that kind of supports it and pushes those into contact with your cable. So the outside one, the plastic was snapped off, so it doesn't work. The inside one does work. The problem is you have to cut this part of the case off to access it. If we look at this case over here, you can see there's this little overhang on a Naomi case that covers the back USB port and only allows access to the front. I don't know why that is. I'm assuming it's so people don't try to use both because you can only use one. But the thing is, it doesn't matter which one you use. So this filter board does work. You just have to have a case with this notch cut out of it so you can access the back port. Somebody has replaced one of these before, but he couldn't find online where to order one that matched the specifications of like the mounting holes, so you can solder it into the exact same mounting point. So he ended up finding some old PC in a PC junk hardware store that had the same exact connector, and he pulled it off that and replaced it. So for right now, this, as long as it's in this case, it works. So I need to swap thinking about this. I need to get this motherboard out that doesn't boot and then put the other one in that does boot, so at least to have a booting with graphic issue Naomi with a filter board that works, but you have to use the inside port. And then this one is just an empty case. So, pretty good results. 5 non-working Naomis. Like I said, one of them I managed to use the case for my House of the Dead, the whole point of that project. Another one, I got the filter board working and sold it with my other working motherboard and another one of these cases, which is why there's 3 instead of 5, because I used 2 of them. Got almost all my money back by selling that other working Naomi. And now I still have all these, the semi-working and the dead stuff to try and possibly sell on eBay, as well as the cases. Shipping is a problem. Shipping cost me about $19 to ship one of these. I usually use the post office. I had a box that was just big enough for the Naomi plus, adequate padding. It wasn't overly large, but it still cost $19 to ship. So, how much do you sell a non-working Naomi for online, and people are still going to buy it when the shipping's about $19? So round that up to $20 shipping, say, 10 or 15 for the case. So that's like $35 or so for a non-working Naomi that somebody's probably just going to buy because they need the case. I'm sure somebody will do it. It's just annoying that the shipping is more than the thing is worth. So I might look into other shipping, maybe look into FedEx or something and see if there is a cheaper way to ship one of these. Unfortunately, the post office, the prepaid priority mail boxes or flat rate boxes, none of them are just the right size for these. So it's, that would be nice if there was one that was just big enough, but there isn't. So, end of story. My goal was successful, to put the House of the Dead that was in a metal caged Naomi into a plastic case. Made one working Naomi out of my parts plus parts from this buy, and almost paid for the entire buy, and then I still have some stuff left that I can sell, and will be able to more than pay back what it cost me to buy these 5 broken Naomis. So if that seller still lists them and somebody's thinking about doing this, well, this is just an example of my luck. Maybe you'll have better luck, maybe you'll have worse luck. Unfortunately, I couldn't get any of the motherboards to boot. That would have been just awesome if I could just get one fully booting and fully running. I did get the one to boot, but like I said, graphic issues. If I got one that was completely running just fine, that would have been great, because I would have, probably doubled more money back than I spent on the original purchase, which would have been cool. And if you have surface mount soldering tools, then perhaps it's something you can do. A lot of these chips are surface mount, and yeah, not something that I have the tools to work with. So overall, I had a lot of fun working with these things. I still need to test these CPU fans and test the fans in the cases, and then I'll write a note on the cases so I know which ones have lousy fans, noisy fans, non-working fans, or fans that are fine, so I can start listing some of this stuff on eBay and decide if I'm going to sell empty cases and then maybe a lot of 4 or 5 motherboards together. Maybe the 4 broken Naomi motherboards together in one auction, and then put the filter board and the booting Naomi together and try and sell that as a booting but graphic issue Naomi. That might be the way I do it, just to get rid of stuff a little bit faster than listing each motherboard individually or each case individually. So that's about it for the Naomi videos for a while. On to other projects.